Welcome again to another weekly episode of the Debrief here on Sportskeeda Wrestling. I'm your host, Jose G, and next to me is the top chico himself, Rico el Glorioso. What's going on, broski? We had two good shows, not as great as last week when it came to the NXT side of things, but AEW Dynamite killed it tonight. Guys, welcome to tonight's show. We got lots to get into, but before we get into that, how you been, bro?
Good, man. Happy St. Patrick's Day and happy belated Austin 316 Day to you, Jose. I see you repping the shirt.
Yes,
love it.
Course,
hope you had a great
always.
Day yesterday today.
Always representing Stone Cold as Stone Cold Week. Got to represent the greatest of all time, as always. But tonight, dude, we got to see the St. Patrick's Slam on AEW Dynamite, and then an impromptu tag team title match on NXT that ended very oddly. We're going to get into everything tonight, but before we get started, guys, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're sharing tonight's show and follow us on all of our social media. If you're watching us on our YouTube right now, because we are simulcasting, make sure you hit that like button, the notification bell, so you never, ever, ever miss a live stream or an update. And also hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching us on Facebook, same thing. Hit that like button, hit that share button. Make sure you share it in your favorite wrestling group. Also, tag your friends in the comment section so they can join us in the conversation. And more importantly than ever, make sure you interact with the show. Hit that thumbs up, hit that heart emoji, the laughing emoji, the angry emoji. Interact with the show. The more engagement we get from you guys, it's been proven that it gets shown all over the place. So the more we get to interact with you guys, the better. And again, let us know where you're watching us from. We've had a couple of SK Wrestling loyals watching us. Philip Chavin. We got Richard Blessing Arshad. Shamba was up. We got Anthony Bruno. Thank you for watching us. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. So let's kick things off with NXT because the opening of NXT was with Finn Balor pretty much acknowledging that he has beaten everyone in NXT and finally, calling out Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross comes out. They start, interacting with each other. Then Scarlett says that both of them will be draped in gold, but then they both get interrupted by the NXT Tag Team Champions, Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. And then, Scarlett seduces the current NXT Tag Team Champions into a NXT Tag Team Championship match. And we got that at the end of the night, which resulted in the way I thought it was going to result,
of course,
with, Danny Burch, because there's just we already have one storyline with tag team champions possibly becoming and going into their main show. Yeah. It's kind of odd that NXT was trying to do that. I'm glad that they didn't, especially in the spot where Finn Balor delivers his drop kick onto Oney Lorcan. Oney Lorcan bashes into Scarlett, falls down. Finn Balor's kind of watching over her, like, oh my God, like I messed up. And then Karrion Kross takes out his anger on her, closes out the show by them losing, and then just Karrion Kross unleashing hell on everyone, everyone he had in sight, including Finn Balor, delivering multiple Saito suplexes. Great, especially the ending when Scarlett picks him up. It's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. And then delivers that forearm to the back of the head to close the show. So I felt like booking wise, this was just kind of out of left field. Like, why would you put these guys in a tag match? Like, why even bring them? I understand that there's still some type of animosity between Pete Dunne and Finn Balor, but that's done. That's done. We're on the road to TakeOver. We're on the road to Stand and Deliver. Why would you add in this tag team matchup?
Well, there was some speculation, some rumor that there had been some recent COVID incidences at NXT. True. So it looks like some of the matches that were scheduled to be tonight kind of got moved around, reshuffled. And I think this was a prime example, especially considering that the return, if you could technically say that, or re-debut, I guess, to NXT that we saw later on tonight. So it feels like they kind of shuffle some things around and they hinted kind of like the storyline with Sasha and Bianca going after the tag team championships the same way like we saw here. I think that was kind of like a filler part to get to that next step in the feud between Finn Balor and Karrion Kross. And
so it's like that unnecessary chapter that we really don't want to see. Just have to get over it in order to make the story continue somewhat.
Yeah, just to show that, oh wait, you have these two really talented guys who technically on paper, if you put them together in a tag team, like nobody should theoretically be able to have a chance against Karrion Kross and Finn Balor. But it's their own rivalry, their own animosity between against each other proves to be the deciding factor in this match, where you have an Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, out of all people, retain their NXT Tag Team Championships against these two powerhouses. But really focusing on that storyline. And now it's getting a little bit more personal because technically, because of Finn Balor, that Scarlett got involved and attacked in this match, which he really should listen to the advice that Miro gave to Kip on AEW about having your wife at ringside. And we'll talk about that later. But, it's just adding more fuel to that fire, make it a little bit more personal as they get closer to TakeOver Stand and Deliver.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from and how they pieced that together. I'm just hoping that this is kind of the end of the Pete Dunne side of it. And now that they've officially kind of like made the Finn Balor and Karrion Kross story, now that it's kind of like legitimate, that like now we're going up on one, we're not partners. It's good. And now that they involve Scarlett, which by the way, we're going to talk AEW in just a little bit, guys. I see all of your comments. Yes, MJF's promos was fire.
Oh, so good.
Rico and I were talking about it all night, and we're definitely going to get all into that. Comment here from SP3, friend of the show, friend of Sportskeeda Wrestling, saying, hey, fellas, the show is great. Dynamite is an awesome show, a truly memorable and historic main event. Yes, and
it was.
Very matter of fact, it was a historic event, and we're definitely going to get into all of that as we go. And if you guys are just joining us, hit that like button and hit that share button. But overall, the opening and the closing, they were to me. I thought they were okay. We got to see Dexter Lumis square off against Austin Theory. We've been kind of leading up to this for several weeks with the family therapy through the way. Great comedic timing from Gargano's. Gargano was not ringside this time. Everybody was kind of watching from home tonight. Overall, man, Theory showed up.
Bro,
Theory actually put on a really good match against Dexter Lumis, because these last few times that we've seen Theory in the ring, Theory has not been getting any wins, and this guy is super talented. This guy is really good. So I'm glad that he was able to display, even though he got a loss tonight, it wasn't the same type of loss that he got a few months ago. This was like a really hard-fought match, and especially towards the ending, where he has him getting ready for the TKO, and he's like, Johnny was right. You're not right for me, blah, blah, blah. And he's about to hit it, and then he gets reversed into the silence, goes out. That was great storytelling.
Yeah, it was like they were hugging for a second. It looked like he was, still holding on to like the Stockholm syndrome for a little bit. And it looked like, he was really feeling that embrace, and then it turned into that silence, and he just winds up just getting taken out by Dexter Lumis. I thought this was great. They both look good, but yeah, Austin Theory, this was a nice reminder of the talent that he truly has. Like when you take him out of a bit of the comedic role that he's been playing recently, he is still truly talented. That's why they brought him over from Evolve to NXT, and why he had this, imagine where he was this point last year, coming straight from NXT, being a prominent person on the road to WrestleMania, being in WrestleMania, and they still have that confidence in him in NXT, putting him in this storyline here. He still has a talent. He's, he has his future is so bright in NXT, and this was a nice little bit of storytelling between him and Dexter Lumis to continue on the feud that they have with Dexter and the way. But props to Austin Theory, man. I thought he looked great tonight.
I completely agree. Reading and answering some of your questions, Philip Shavin and Ozzy Medeiros are asking me, what am I drinking? Well, guys, we're not sponsored by this beverage, but I can tell you that it is a German grapefruit beer, and it is delicious. I don't care what color it is. It is great. And it makes my best thoughts come out especially when we're talking about wrestling. So,
nice.
But yeah, definitely grapefruit beer. Very good stuff. Donald Cabral saying, EO calling out Martinez seems out of the box, the champ calling out the challenger.
It just goes to show how much confidence she has in herself, and knowing that she's basically run through the women's division, especially going
I think she means Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just automatically assume talk about Raquel Gonzalez. But yeah, she took out Mercedes Martinez and Toni Storm. So at this point, when you run through the entire division, you got to pick your shot. And the next prominent person looks to be Raquel Gonzalez, even though, we did get to see Zoe Starks and Dakota Kai in a match tonight where Dakota Kai got the win over Zoe Starks, but Zoe Starks looked amazing. Like, you could tell.
Great outing.
She's going to be very prominent, especially when you have an Io and eventually Raquel leave NXT. You can tell Zoe Starks is going to be like one of the linchpins in the women's division. But of course, after that match, when Io comes out, I love how Dakota was there in the way, like she's ready to take on Io, and Io just sidesteps her like she's nothing. Goes straight to Raquel, thrust that clipboard that obviously has the match contract right into her gut, and then walks off while she picks up Zoe Starks. I'm gonna assume there's gonna be a tag match probably next week or the following week with Io Shirai and Zoe Starks versus Raquel and Dakota Kai. But Io is calling her shot right now, and she's calling out one of the most dominant forces right now. This is gonna be a good match at Stand and Deliver.
Well, that brings me up to Jeffrey Young's question: should Raquel Gonzalez have an advocate like Brock Lesnar?
Oh, she could easily benefit from having Paul Heyman, but we've seen in her promos, especially the one that she did up against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, she could be pretty decent on her mic herself when she understands what her character is. Big Mommy Cool. So she doesn't really need to have one, I wouldn't think, but she could benefit from having a seasoned person next to her like a Paul Heyman.
Yeah, I agree like that. I agree with that. Now moving on, dude, we got to see the return of the real NXT Cruiserweight champion Jordan Devlin coming to confront the interim. I don't know if we should call him interim or the acting Cruiserweight NXT champion, Santos Escobar. It's a funny situation because the title belt that Jordan Devlin has is canon, right? Because that's the 205 Live belt that transitioned into the NXT Championship belt. Then you got Santos Escobar that wins this other version of the belt,
the tournament that they had on NXT.
That was through a tournament that they had in NXT, which is not canon. So hashtag, I'm sorry, Santos, I love you because you're Latino, but hashtag Santos Escobar is not my champion.
Wow.
Jordan Devlin, bro. Devlin.
He stuck his claim and reminded people who he is on NXT as he squared off against Santos, hits him, and already saw he's bleeding already as Legado Fantasma come to his aid. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get this match also at Stand and Deliver, and I'm really excited about this one because I think this is going to be a very interesting mix of styles between Jordan Devlin and Santos Escobar. I think this could be one of those sleeper match of the night candidates if they both bring everything that they can.
I agree. This is one of those sleeper matches that's oof, you didn't expect that to be that good. It's kind of almost watching Velveteen Dream's first few matches. You knew he was good, but you didn't know how good. He's NXT TakeOver good. So we'll see how these two deliver when it comes to NXT TakeOver. A couple other quick notes here on NXT. We got to see a video package on Sarai, an upcoming Japanese female superstar that's making her way to NXT. We also got to see some Twitter images of Cameron Grimes on vacation, clearly photoshopped, right? Including a pic of him swimming with a shark, Rico. Man, Cameron Grimes is stacking that money.
Especially if, I don't know if he qualifies, probably not, but if he gets that stimulus check too, I'm pretty sure that's going to go even more into the bank of what he's spending all this money on. But you just got to love, even though they didn't give him TV time today, his comedy still comes through in just simple tweets and simple pictures. You could still tell that adds more to his character. And I just
by the way, to all of our viewers watching us here in the US, happy Stimmy Day and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, perfect timing. Right? Perfect timing for it to drop.
It really was. But we did get to see the debut, the in-ring debut on NXT of LA Knight against August Gray, which turned out just to be kind of like a quick matchup, pretty much setting up a feud between Bronson Reed and LA Knight. That's probably going to be a pretty good matchup at NXT Stand and Deliver. But it was what Bronson Reed, what he did to cause the major distraction, breaking and completely destroying LA Knight, LA Knights, blue Gucci jacket, leather jacket. Man.
That just reminded me of Tommy Boy so much. Like the whole fat guy in a little coat. And just when he flexes at the end and just like tears it down the middle.
So good. It was so good. But yeah, great setup. Dude, this is probably going to be a very unpopular opinion, but I kind of feel like Eli Knight is kind of like the Wish version of The Rock.
Oh wow. So where did he stack up against Ricky Starks? Is it more like the attitude as opposed to the look? Is that the
No. It's a little above Ricky Starks, right?
Okay.
Because all right. So like Ricky Starks, okay, so Ricky Starks is Wish, and then I guess Eli Knight is probably Amazon. Like if you ordered Rock off of Amazon, he's still a pretty good quality. He's not like The Rock, but
yeah, he's the featured deal like they have on Amazon. Like instead of the name brand, you get the Amazon brand of it that's featured. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I love Eli. LA. I've interviewed him.
You keep combining the two, his old name and his new name.
I know.
Just Eli Knight.
Just be Eli Knight, right? It really should. But he's a great guy. I love the guy. We've had the pleasure of interviewing him several times. But yeah, I just gotta feel like even his in-ring style, like his mannerisms inside the ring, the way he takes bumps, the way he delivers strikes. It's very Dwayne The Rock Johnson-ish. Yeah. I'm not saying it's exact copy, but you can tell he's taken from his style, which I'm not mad about. But it's hella entertaining. But I don't know. I'm a fan anyways, regardless. I'm just those are my 2 cents.
Oh yeah. You could tell, like, especially going up against a Bronson Reed at TakeOver Stand and Deliver. Like, that's a very different, mix of styles between those two. But if anybody can really deliver in the ring, that presence, like even you're noticing that he's giving off that cocky persona. Like his character lives through his moveset also. Like it's going to be entertaining to watch what he continues to do in NXT. So yeah, it's great to have him here. And the fact that they're putting him against, the colossal Bronson Reed already shows that he's already going to be kind of like in that mid card right now. Like you could see him going after and possibly being an NXT North American champion much sooner rather than later.
That's very true, man. I see what you're saying. You're right about that.
But the debut you have to talk about this debut, Jose. Who showed up? Who showed up tonight on NXT?
Man, the ring general himself making his return to the United States, to NXT, United States soil. The General Walter.
Oh man.
Man, he made a thunderous return. I think I marked out for that.
Yes.
I truly marked out for that. I really enjoyed seeing him back. And now we're going to get this program with Tommaso Ciampa and probably Walter, or the entirety of Imperium, or Imperium versus Walter and Timothy Thatcher, with Timothy Thatcher turning on Tommaso Ciampa eventually. That's where I think this is going. But I'm very excited to see the NXT UK champion back in NXT. It's great.
That's just another huge name to add to the NXT roster if he can stay around for a long time.
But here's the question. Who's going to take – who is he going to drop that UK belt to?
Man.
I mean, we got Trent Seven. Trent Seven's going to be facing Devlin
against
next
Devlin.
week. Devlin later. However – we could probably put in Tyler Bate in there again. I wouldn't mind putting the belt back on him. John Coffey, dude, that guy is badass. Yeah, Wolfgang, those guys, like all those guys are legitimate contenders. But like, who's going to be the guy to really take down the reign of Walter?
Man, it's just that considering he's booked so heelish right now, like I would love to see him go up against Pete Dunne. Like because right now Pete Dunne, is kind of in limbo. He got, mentioned by the NXT Tag Team Champions today, especially with the whole feud going up against Finn Balor and all that stuff. So I wouldn't be mad at him getting a shot at and taking a break and go back to NXT UK for a bit to kind of fill in that spot that Walter's leaving, especially if we get him over here proper. Because just imagine those matches we can get. Like, we could finally get that Walter versus Finn Balor matchup that we talked about. I was hoping it was going to be WrestleMania. That might not, be the case now considering everything's happening. But, man, so many extra dream matches that we can get. And even Jeffrey Young brought up in the chat, should Wade Barrett make his return in ring by being the leader of Imperium? Like, imagine him being the Tully Blanchard that we are seeing in the Pinnacle now. Imagine having Wade Barrett and actually having be a physical part of Imperium would be amazing. But now that they're all here proper, you can do some interesting things, like you said, with Timothy Thatcher, with his history with them, with Tommaso Ciampa. I'm excited. It just still looks kind of weird to have the NXT UK Championship here when know everything going on. So I would assume he's going to drop it. But really, if he's going to drop it to anybody, it should be Ilya Dragunov, considering the amazing match that they had. But if you're going to use NXT to bring that back over there, then I would say Pete Dunne.
We'll see. We'll see how this all fizzles out. We still got 3 weeks until Stand and Deliver. But moving things along to AEW Dynamite, we had a special this week on AEW Dynamite, St. Patrick's Slam. Before we get into AEW St. Patrick's Slam, follow us on all of our social media. Make sure you share tonight's show in your favorite wrestling group if you're watching us on Facebook. And if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And also hit that notification bell so you never, ever miss a live stream, a post, or an update. But moving things over to AEW, we had an historic night tonight in AEW with the women closing out the show for the first time in AEW's Dynamite's existence. It was great. We had Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D., with Rebel going up against Thunder Rosa in an unsanctioned lights out match. Anything goes, falls count anywhere. No DQ, no time limit. It's a mouthful, but Rico, that match lived up to the hype.
Especially considering, just off of the heels of the exploding barbed wire death match that we got at Revolution. It was going to be interesting to see how these ladies stacked up. And when you think about the last time that we saw this match, it was against Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. And man, did these ladies live up to the hype.
They really did, man.
So not only did you have Hikaru Shida really looking on, so it looks like, I guess you would assume that the winner of this match was going to get a future shot at Hikaru Shida. But, these ladies brought it. They got down, dirty, brutal, with chairs, ladders, thumbtacks, got into it. There was a moment where Rosa suplexes Britt into the pile of chairs. Rosa hits a Death Valley driver from the second turnbuckle onto a ladder.
Crazy.
But the crazy spot was the bag of thumbtacks that Rebel gave to Britt. And man, we had Thunder Rosa powerbomb Britt Baker onto those tacks. She kicks out. She locks in the lockjaw. And to get out of that, Thunder Rosa rolls her into the tacks to break up that hold. And man, when it came down to it, with all the tables set up outside, Thunder Rosa picks her up on the apron and hits the Fire Thunder driver from the apron through a table on the outside. Both ladies just bleeding from being cut open through all the brutality in the match to get the pin. I thought it was going to be Britt Baker to really set up who
I did too, but I'm okay with Thunder Rosa getting this because she needed that payback.
And it makes sense now that NWA is going to be coming back with Back to the Attack pay-per-view this Saturday. She is going to be challenging for the NWA Women's Championship. It makes sense. You need to make Thunder Rosa really look strong, even if she doesn't win the title, because you would assume whenever her contract runs out, she is going to be brought over to AEW. But you need to make her look strong for either one, like for that title shot for NWA and possibly a future title shot at AEW. So I'm perfectly fine with her getting the win here. Both of these ladies, they lived up to the hype and did an amazing job holding it down as the first time that the ladies closed out an AEW show. This is one way you make it memorable and you can show that it can deliver anytime. Man,
I'll tell you, man. Last week I was praising both shows because it was very hard for me to pick which show was better.
This clearly AEW.
This week, clearly, it was AEW. AEW definitely outdid themselves Even though it was a taped version, a taped episode, it came out very good. But let's talk about what I think was the single biggest moment in professional wrestling history to date, and that has to be the unveiling of the Pinnacle.
Man,
that right now, I mean, some people talk about the invisible door or the prohibited door, whatever they call it, or the forbidden door being knocked down, but this is something pretty serious, because this is something that a generational thing. You don't see it very much, and MJF is one of those generational superstars that's, he said it himself in his promo. He's got 25 years still in the tank, and people are still going to be hating on him. And he's not wrong, dude. MJF killed it with tonight's promo. What did you think of the Pinnacle overall tonight, and MJF's amazing promo?
The whole thing was set up nicely. Like, they showed them arriving in Jacksonville in like a charter jet, all in suits, looking like $1 million, getting into the limo, showing up. And then just the whole moment, like having Tully be the first one. And, he breaks down how they made their appearance last week, taking out the Inner Circle. He broke it down exactly how they dominated every single person. And then he even mentions that, I was part of the greatest team back in my time. Now, in the pinnacle of wrestling, I'm with the pinnacle of the current wrestling, pro wrestling right now, which is kind of started alluding to what the name's going to be. And then he hands it over to MJF, and he drops that fire promo. He talks up so much about his guys, what each member of the team brings to the Pinnacle. And then he talks down Jericho and just, breaks down the whole situation. So it's really giving you more insight into his character. Like, I was under your shadow for 6 months. I wanted to tear down the Inner Circle from the inside. So while you thought you took me under your wing, I was there plucking every feather from you. And then, of course, I led you on thinking that I was going to take over, but that was to keep you from seeing the fact that I was starting my own. So, like, he really gave some really great insight into his character. And then, man, just bringing up and then debuting the name, the Pinnacle. They are the pinnacle of wrestling right now. So it was a great way to really establish who they are and what they expect to do. And then even seeing later on, and even said it, he called it out. I was like, we're going to take over your room backstage. And it cuts to later where they already have a little plaque that says the Pinnacle. So they take off the one from the Inner Circle, put on the Pinnacle one, and go right in there. So that's how you start off a stable looking dominant. And I'm really excited to see how this feud is going to continue with the Inner Circle.
So is the Pinnacle going to be sponsored by Pinnacle Vodka?
Right. Yeah. That's like, easy merchandising right there. Easy branding.
Yeah. Are they going to have like Pinnacle vodkas just stationed all around the backstage? I mean, it just kind of sells itself. I mean, why not?
Yeah, you might as well at that point. Like it just does so much good for the branding at this point. But man, like they're going to be around for a while.
Yeah, man. But speaking of being around for a while, someone that's been doing a lot of work from day one, Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, had the match on the opening match for AEW Dynamite against Penta El Cero Miedo in a match that was so good,
bro,
that ended up in a freaking roll up. After literally breaking his arm and breaking his shoulder and kicking out of the most devastating moves, you finished this match with a wrestling maneuver? How dare you?
So this was a great match. Obviously, we love Penta, friend of our show. Like, he kicked out of a Canadian Destroyer into a Cody Cutter. He kicked out of the Crossroads. And then Cody set up a Vertebreaker. I don't remember the last time he's used that maneuver, but he hits Penta with a Vertebreaker. He kicks out of all of it. He goes for the figure four. He rope breaks. As Cody goes for another figure four, he reverses that into his patented arm breaker. And then, just like you said, out of nowhere, as soon as his arm is broken, he rolls up Penta. Like, it hurt. I was like, this is a great platform. Have Penta get a big win. He can be, future shot at TNT Championship soon.
Listen, I would have booked. See, what would have probably made sense would have been maybe for Penta to roll up Cody in the most nefarious heelish way instead of the clean, goody two shoes roll up that Cody did. I think that ending probably would have been better, but man, I was so disappointed in that finish, man. And I didn't want to be, but I was very disappointed.
It felt like they focused more on the QT Marshall aspect of it. Like they gave him the win just to set up the attack afterwards. You could have done this with Penta getting the win. Like you didn't have to hurt Penta in this way. Let Penta get the win and then still be, being a heel, attack Cody, have Nightmare Family come out. But it's a whole setup of QT Marshall not being in line with the Nightmare Family because he came out mad late. Like I feel like they try to make that the focus instead of the amazing talent of Penta. So
exactly. Or even if QT Marshall would have caused some type of distraction in order to make Penta, that opportunistic heel that he's been kind of doing recently, I think that would have been even more believable. But just rolling up, nah, man, I'm sorry. I mean, y'all guys know better storytelling.
Yeah, and we've seen it in other matches. Like the one story, especially coming off the heels of Cody getting the win, was Jade Cargill, who we saw in action squashing Danny Jordan, basically. And they gave a name to her finisher. I'm just gonna call it the Jaded Kiss because it sounds like Jada Kiss. But she basically uses Beth Phoenix's Glam Slam, so she continues to look, athletically amazing, and that's only her second match ever. They were saying about how like her last match, the mixed tag with Shaq against Cody and Red Velvet, was her first match, and she looked amazing. She gets in Red Velvet's face later on, so of course this feud isn't over yet.
No, not yet. Not by a long shot. Stone Cold reference.
There you go. But man, the feuds that are still going on, we got to see quite a few storylines being told in a 10-man tag match.
Okay, this is ridiculous, bro. 10. I feel like you should draw the line at 4. Like 10 is wow.
Put them all out there. Why not?
All right.
Why not put all that meat out there?
Everybody works.
Yeah, get everybody some camera time because we had Jurassic Express with Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Marco Stunt teaming up with Bear Country, Bear Boulder and Bear Bronson, going up against Big Money Mafia, Matt Hardy and Private Party with their new associates, the Butcher and the Blade with the Bunny ringside. Man, I love this spot where Bear Country just yeets. They just toss Marco Stunt over the top rope so hard, he almost went over the group and through the barricade. Thankfully, they caught him. But I did have to mention also, I thought it was funny during this match when they went to picture-in-picture. If you guys didn't know, John Cena, of course, is going to be hosting Wipeout starting April 1st. So that happened right before they cut back into the match.
That's hilarious.
Which was a nice little reminder. I'm like, oh,
wow. Okay, John Cena's going to be on the AEW network. Wow. Yeah. Just realize that.
He's going to be all elite soon, right? Yeah. But he came down.
The prototype makes his all elite wrestling.
he has a dad hair now, but he dyes it blonde again. Like he did.
My god! So the prototype makes his long blonde hair debut. I'm all about it.
And he changes instead of the attitude adjustment, it's the Wipeout. Like that's gonna be the new name for his finisher. But anyway, of course, the heels get the win after Private Party hits Gin and Juice onto Marco Stunt. Matt Hardy tags himself in, hits Twist of Hate, and winds up getting the pin for the heels. But really the big storyline that we're trying to tell throughout the story, throughout the episode, not only was it the Young Bucks versus the Good Brothers, but it was Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston against the Good Brothers as they cut a promo backstage where they made fun of wasting money on Talking Shop-A-Mania 2. And then, of course, they make fun of just Gallows and Anderson.
Which, by the way, side note, have you checked out Talking Shop Mania?
I didn't see the second one yet. I need to go back and watch it.
Oh, my word.
The first one was so good, I have to watch it.
And it's so bad, it's so terrible that it's the best thing ever on the internet. So, guys, if you guys want to watch some mindless wrestling entertainment, watch Talking Shop Mania 1 and Talking Shop Mania 2. Side note. You're welcome, Gallows. You're welcome, Anderson. All right, sorry. Keep going.
We'll give them some love because they were getting no love from Kenny and Moxley, where even Eddie Kingston was quoting Biggie and Tupac saying, you guys never popped nothing, never shot nothing, so stop fronting. But of course, this leads to the match, the tag match. And before they can even get started, Eddie Kingston comes out and gets attacked by the Good Brothers. So, this was a very heated match between these four guys. But overall, we did get Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston getting the win with an inside cradle. So this was the St. Patrick's Day, not a St. Patrick's Day slam. It was a St. Patrick's Day roll-up, apparently, because everybody's winning roll-ups here. But of course, it was to set up what happened after the match, where Kenny comes out with Don Callis, and they wrap the chair around Eddie Kingston's leg, and Carl Anderson jumps from the second rope to the chair, implying, they're trying to break his leg. And as they're going for Jon Moxley, putting it around his neck, the Young Bucks come out. So they interfere. Of course, they make the save for Jon Moxley. And, you're seeing there's a bit of tension against the former Impact Tag Team Champions. Because if you guys didn't know, they got upset by FinJuice, their pay-per-view. So they are no longer Impact Tag Team Champions. So now there seems to be a little hostility between the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks. They go for the Too Sweet. Young Bucks say no, and they walk away. And Kenny tries it also, and they say no to him too. But of course, Jon Moxley gets up, starts attacking him with the chair, and everybody gets away. So, it looks like we're starting to really see that friction between the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers. Probably going to see a match with them soon. Wouldn't be surprised if we get an 8-man tag match of some sort, or 6-man tag with Kenny and the Good Brothers versus Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston,
and the Young Bucks.
The Young Bucks and it's gonna be Moxley and the Young Bucks.
That's probably next week's main event right there.
Yeah, Moxley and the Young Bucks versus Good Brothers and Kenny Omega. But
let's talk about. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up this next segment where, guess what? It's Wednesday, Jose. You know what that means?
Hold on. Did Tony Schiavone welcome Sting to the stage?
Yes, he did. Just like clockwork, every single week. You can put a timer to it. But they did something good with it. So not only did they bring out Sting and Darby Allin, Tony Schiavone is talking to Darby Allin and asks him about the follow-up from the match with Scorpio Sky, basically Scorpio turning heel and attacking him. And he's like, well, I'm done with Team Taz. I want to be a fighting champion with this TNT championship. And I want to honor the greatest TNT champion of all time. So, Dark Order, if you want a shot at this, this is an open challenge. And so we got an open challenge. We find out later it's going to be John Silver, Johnny Hungee, and he's hungry for a TNT championship match, which I thought it was great because -1 tried to accept the challenge and Evil was like, no, we'll give it a decade before you have an opportunity at that. But it winds up they select John Silver to face off against Darby Allin next week. But next comes out Lance Archer and Jake the Snake Roberts. And he brings out the point that we bring up every single week, that here you are again, Tony Schiavone, calling out Sting just like you do every single week. I was like, thank you.
Thank you clockwork. They really need to give him a little bit of time in between. Give him 1 week. Yeah. You're just not. You're supposed to, have some type of mystique with Sting, but I guess not.
But this was a good segment because Lance Archer talks down Darby Allin. And not only that, Jake the Snake Roberts grabs the mic and he talks down Darby Allin, talking about his hot dogging. And then he turns his attention to Sting. So lets him know about how dangerous Lance Archer can be. And then they walk away. And then comes Team Taz. But it's different because before Taz starts talking, Brian Cage grabs the mic from him and he tells them, you know what? Ricky Starks is wrong. With or without the bat, you are still the icon. So he gives all the respect to Sting. Team Taz is upset. They're wondering, what's wrong with you? And he walks away. So it looks like the FTW champion is not on the same page with the rest of Team Taz. So, we got some interesting storylines brewing between these guys. So, who knows? Who's going to get that next shot after, John Silver? It looks like Lance Archer's calling a shot. Brian Cage could be calling a shot. What do you make of this situation with Brian Cage seemingly starting to turn on Team Taz, Jose?
I don't know, man. I really think that they should really stay a unit. I kind of like what they're doing with Team Taz. Flipping Cage right now, I don't think it's the right moment to do that. And I really wouldn't want him to be the one to flip on them. I want them to flip on him. I would want to see Powerhouse Hobbs. I want to see Hook. I want to see everyone. If they're gonna turn on Cage. If that's what you're leading up to, don't have it the other way around. That way you have something you can really sink your teeth into when it comes into the story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But overall, man, it's getting repetitive when it comes to Sting right now on a weekly basis. I'm sorry. And this is why I don't like Sting.
Yeah, just like you said, man, like it just doesn't feel as special when you bring him out every single time. And like clockwork, he comes out, Darby Allin comes out, Team Taz interrupts, yada yada yada, they talk, and that's it. It's but hopefully
you would have figured out by now that after Revolution, after that street fight, that they would have squashed and moved on to another storyline, but apparently not. They're probably gonna keep this going for a while. I don't know how long, but it looks like they're gonna keep this going for a while.
Yeah,
now
I was gonna say, it looks like Darby Allin just said he's done with it, so it looks like they're trying to remove him, but yet he's still in the same segment with Sting. But it looks like they're gonna try to do a Sting and Brian Cage versus Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks, or even Lance Archer. Like, it just seems a little bit confusing. Like you said, it's like pulling that trigger, just a little too soon on this whole situation. It seems a little muddled with this. But one feud that's not being as muddled is the feud between Miro and Kip Sabian versus Orange Cassidy and Chucky T, which I love this little segment because Alex Marvez, he interviews Miro as he's working out, and he asks him about the challenge that was initiated for that arcade cabinet match that Orange Cassidy and Chucky T challenged him to. And he says he's over them. Like, you know what? I'm done with it. Like, I've moved on. He wants to focus on himself being a champion here in AEW. But Kip's like, but I'm not. They ruined my wedding. And honestly, whether you meant to or not, you ran into my wife and she got injured. And then Miro drops that knowledge. And he lets him know, he advises him that if you're attending to your wife is more important than winning the match, then you're wrong. Trust me, having your wife at ringside is the worst thing you can do for your career. And then walks off, and then Kip accepts the match. But I just thought it was so great, alluding.
Nice dig. Yeah, that was definitely a dig at WWE's booking on him as Rusev. But you know what? Did you get to watch the debut episode of AEW Dark Elevation on Monday or on Tuesday?
I did. I watched it earlier today.
Okay, good. Now, did you catch how Miro's match went? Like, how amazing he looked, and how he needs to be right now.
Are you a future champion? Are you a future champion? You're wasting my time. And he looks so brutal.
Why are they not pushing that Rusev? Why do they have him teamed up with Kip Sabian and Penelope, being this ultra geeky video game guy? No, dude, you're a fighter. Like, you're a legit fighter. You can be pushed as such. Okay, so why not do it? The guy's legit, bro. Like, the guy, I would love to see Rusev. I would love to see Miro and Omega go at it, because I think Miro can stand toe to toe with Omega and some.
Yeah, I think that match would truly deliver. And we're already starting to see that inkling of him separating. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they clash, him and Kip Sabian clash in this rematch against Chucky T and Orange Cassidy, and that leads to them breaking up. Because he's here to be the best man. He wants to be a champion, and he's displaying it in every one of his own matches too, which I think is great for his character work. And yeah, like, this should be built. They should be able to build him to be a contender for the AEW championship. When you have a guy like Christian Cage, who in his interview segment, he even says, at least, I know I need to earn my way there. So it's not like he's just going to be given a shot at Kenny Omega, but he says, I'm sure I'll see you further down the road. I'm just here to outwork everybody. This is the same thing that with Miro. He's here to be the best man in AEW. He's here to be the best performer. He's here to be a champion. So yes, separate him from Kip Sabian and let him be who he can be. And start putting him in these title pictures, man.
I completely agree, man. And that's just kind of like been the story with him since his arrival. Like, he was hot. He was good when he got there, like the first few months. Social media was talking about him left and right. And I still understand that he does have a pretty significant Twitch following, But still, even with that, bro, like the way that they just booked him in AEW these last few months, in all honesty, it's just been terrible. The way that you really need to book Miro is you need to put him in that main title picture, not that TNT title bullshit, the world title. That's where Miro deserves to be. That's where Miro needs to be. And I don't know how long Miro's contract is, but if AEW doesn't treat him with the respect that he deserves as a performer by giving him that opportunity to wrestle for the world championship, they're going to lose him, and he's going to go back to WWE.
I don't even think he'll want to go back to WWE at this point, because
it wasn't really his choice, though, because the pandemic hit, and that's when they had all the layoffs. So it wasn't really his choice. But what else would he be doing in WWE? Nothing right now.
I would at this point, I would say if NWA is fully being back to what they're doing, bring him over there. Like having him go up against Nick Aldis for the NWA Championship. Like put him somewhere where they're going to actually use him. He left WWE because they weren't using him. Now you're not using him proper here in AEW. He's going to have to find somewhere else. So maybe go to NWA at this point. But
New Japan, bro. He needs to go to New Japan.
New Japan, yes. Like somewhere where you're going to utilize his talent, because it feels like every time we get it's like same story. We get hyped because how great he's doing, who he is, how he performs, and then we're let down by the booking. And we saw it once. We don't want to see it again here when you thought this was the place to put him so he can be featured. And now you're not doing that yet either. So I think this hopefully is that right turn to start focusing and pushing him to where he should be. So just don't, please, AEW, don't drop the ball on him again.
Yeah, man. I feel like they're doing that. They're letting him slip through their fingers. And they need to be very careful, especially now that we're going to have another tag match with Orange Cassidy and Chucky T, this is just going to be maybe it's a closing of the story. Maybe you're right. Kind of like the other storyline that we were talking about, where you back in NXT, where, Pete Dunne and Finn Balor, they just need to kind of seal that story. Maybe that's what's going to happen here. Maybe this match leads to kind of a separation between Miro and Kip Sabian from the ring, because outside the ring they're cool, but it's just been very worrisome recently with Miro. I'm a huge fan, and I just worry that they're not treating him with respect.
They're not utilizing the way that they're using Rey Fenix. Like now that they're setting up Pac and Rey Fenix to go up against the Young Bucks, we saw him going up against Angelico, another talented guy. Like they face off, I'm sure, in Lucha Underground, because they were both there around the same time. But another talented guy, but you're using him correctly, because he got the win using, essentially the Rikishi bomb or Rikishi driver onto Angelico, and Pac showing up there too. Like you're solidifying that they are true contenders for the AEW championships, and that's based on the performance that.
Did we have a freeze on your side, Rico? Looks like he froze up a little bit. There we go. He's back. Oh, no, he's not. Well, while Rico gets back into three, look, he's frozen up right now. There he is.
There we go. All right. Yeah, I was just saying, basically you're using Pac and Rey Fenix in the right way. You need to do the same thing with Miro. Like let his talent speak for himself inside that ring, and that's how you can promote that character. We're seeing it with these guys. Do it with Miro.
I completely agree. Yes. Yes. All right, guys. I'm just going to read some of your comments before we head out for tonight's show. Ozzy Madero saying, Rico's back. Yes, he came back just in time for the finale. Philip Chauvin, we apologize if we cursed on the show. We didn't mean to. Sorry about that. Won't happen again. Let's see here. Rob Schumann saying, too many factions in AEW, Dark Order, Pinnacle, Dino Boys, Taz's Boys, Hardy Guys.
Don't forget what New Japan does, man. Like, that everyone's in the faction. Yeah. So it's the same difference at this point. There's just more to choose from.
Here's a question for you. Theoretical and Dream Booking. Jeffrey Young is asking, the Messiah of SmackDown, Seth Rollins versus AEW's MJF. Who do you got?
The way that they're starting to book him now, it's got to be Pinnacle MJF at this. Like, especially with Wardlow in your corner. Right now, Messiah doesn't have anybody with him. He's by himself, Jose. He's gonna get hit with that diamond ring, man. He's gonna get hit with the diamond ring, bro.
Listen, when MJF becomes a Grand Slam, Money in the bank cash-in at WrestleMania type of superstar, then you can tell me. But for now, it will always be the Messiah, Seth Rollins.
Like as soon as they bring us like something similar to Money in the Bank in AEW, like MJF is going to be the first one to win it because it's just too good for him not to have it.
Yeah, they really should. They really should. Not that brass ring crap that you guys did.
Oh, you don't want the Cheerio? You don't want the Sonic ring?
No, not at all. Not at all. Guys, we want to thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight on another weekly episode of the Debrief. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media here on Facebook, also on YouTube and on Twitter and on Instagram. Also, make sure you share tonight's video in your favorite wrestling group. If you're just watching this right now, you can catch the replay afterwards. And if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button and hit that subscribe button. We'll be back next week with everything that went down in AEW and Dynamite. Also, make sure you stay tuned to Sportskeeda Wrestling for more upcoming news and exclusive interviews. We got Shotzi Blackheart that just came out with Rico, so make sure you check out that interview. We also have another exclusive interview with the current stars of Young Rock, Mr. Assad, who plays the Iron Sheik on NBC's Young Rock. So we have that exclusive interview here on Sportskeeda Wrestling. And also, as always, we also have the Vince Russo Writes show where he dream books several situations coming up in the WWE. And as always, we got our daily and weekly review shows. We got Fastlane coming up this Sunday, so make sure you guys tune in, like, and subscribe to everything that we're coming out with because it's tons, especially now during WrestleMania season, Rico.
Mm-hmm. So much to cover until then.
It really is. So, for Rico El Glorioso, I'm your boy, Jose G. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good night.
Later, guys.